Make it a date with Seun Okinbaloye on Mike On Podcast every Saturday at 7 p.m. as he x-rays issues beyond the regular and dives deeper to depths that allow him bring you answers to questions on your mind. In this podcast room, everything points to accountability, and you are the boss. No one understands how to hold public figures to account like Seun Okinbaloye. Catch Mike On Podcast live this Saturday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. Mike On Podcast for the independent mind.
You don't think Tinubu is the kind of leader Nigeria needs?
No. Certainly not. Because, one of the first things he did as a leader is to say subsidy is gone. And he still brags about that decision being bold. And we see the consequence of that. I don't think he has any independent mind. For him, this is a journey of personal discovery. This is someone just wanting to satisfy a childhood or whatever yearning. I want to be president, and that's where it stops. I don't see him inspiring Nigerians. How many times has he talked to Nigerians directly, without the mediation of press releases by his media aides? You don't see him talking to Nigerians. You don't see him assuring Nigerians that, look, we need to stay the course. Here is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Here is what is going to happen in the next couple of years. But all he did was he said he removed subsidies because the Bretton Woods financial institutions told him to do so. And we've seen that. And I've written multiple articles on this to the point that I'm tired. There's nowhere in the world, the entire world, where a nation succeeds on the basis of these neoliberal policies he's pursuing. That's removing subsidies, devaluing your currency. It has never worked anywhere in the world. You say you are saving money by removing subsidies. Fine. But you are still borrowing from the World Bank. If I'm borrowing more now than you ever did, and two, what has happened is that governors have now more money than they ever had, yet they are not building any infrastructure. Even the federal government is not building any new infrastructure that it hadn't built. Nothing is changing. Meanwhile, people are suffering. It basically taking away the subsidies that poor people used to enjoy and adding it to the subsidies of the already rich. And I call this reverse Robin Hoodism. That's what it is.
You do not think that, Bola, in your writing, and you inferred that Bola Tinubu does not need a second term, and that should he win the election again in 2027, we should blame the opposition.
Yes, what I'm saying is that the opposition is not organized. That's one. PDP, we know, is almost gone. It's in the pocket of Nyesom Wike, who is an extension of Bola Tinubu. So it has no capacity to even serve as a vehicle to oppose him. And the SDP that politicians like Erifai have moved into is suspected to be a spare car for Bola Tinubu. As early as 2022, there had been reports that was his spare car in case, he had back channel communications with that party. If he had lost the APC nomination, he would have run under its platform. So even that, as a party, it's very naive to think they can go into SDP and use it as a vehicle to fight Bola Tinubu.
Bola Tinubu has been described, is being portrayed, and is seen as the epitome of a new Lagos, the man who gave Lagos a focus and a direction and makes it the state of envy and of enviable standard on the African continent, in Nigeria, and he's been described as the man who set the pace for all the governors to follow. You don't think he deserves some credit because of vision that he's been said to have?
No, I would say that I'm not going to say he never did anything right or noteworthy or praiseworthy in Lagos. He probably did. I would say he did, but he did not set the tone for Lagos. Like I said earlier, Lagos had always historically been ahead of the rest of Nigeria. It was always the magnet for all kinds of talents from West Africa. And he has always led in terms of infrastructure, in terms of culture, in terms of resources. He had always led. And remember, it was the federal capital for several years. So a lot of the template for the development of Lagos was laid during that time. So Tinubu was just one addition to a long list of people who governed Lagos.
Even if you brought Peter Obi or Anapabio or those who became governor, Donadiuk, who became governors at the time, or even the former governor of Zamfara or Ojukalu, those in the class of 1999 as governors, they would have done as much as Bola Tinubu did. Is that what you're saying?
I would say so, yeah. Lagos has its own rhythm that is independent of anyone who is put at its helms. It had its own rhythm, it has its own history, it has its own mind, it has its own trajectory, and there's almost nothing anyone can do to change it. Of course, I admit that there are certain governors who must have done something nice, and he probably did something nice and strategic and visionary, but it pales in the grand scheme of the architecture of Lagos itself.
But Prof, what is your reading of El-Rufai's movement to the SDP? Do you think that Tinubu has a lot to fear about the El-Rufai factor?
I frankly don't think he has anything to fear. And that's why I wrote the article that the opposition is going to lose. First of all, El-Rufai is not the huge political heavyweight that he imagines himself to be. In spite of his support for Tinubu in 2023, Tinubu lost Kaduna. He was the governor of Kaduna State and supported Tinubu, full on, full-throated, but he lost.
As time brews as the presidency clashes with AFDB's additional over Nigeria's past, while Tinubu's bold Nigeria First policy shakes the government, the Labour Party faces a crisis and former President Jonathan warns of a looming one-party state. Meanwhile, history is made as Robert Prevost becomes Pope Leo XIV, the 267th pontiff. Here is a breakdown of this week's top headlines. This week begins with the presidency countering claims by President of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, who said Nigerians were economically better off in the 1960s. The presidential aide by Ononuga dismissed the figures, saying they do not align with available data and do not also reflect progress in areas like healthcare, education, and digital access. On Tuesday, President Bola Tinubu said government offices can no longer buy foreign goods or services if there are Nigerian-made options. This new Nigeria First policy is meant to support local businesses, create jobs, and make sure the government buys more from Nigerian producers. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the Senate would prioritize tackling insecurity and hunger, stressing that Nigerians expect results, not rhetoric. He acknowledged the rising cost of living and pledged legislative support for national recovery, urging lawmakers to act with urgency, integrity, and a sense of duty. On Thursday, the Labour Party suspended 6 prominent members, including Abia State Governor Alex Otti and Senators Darlington Nwakocha and Ireti Kingibe, over alleged anti-party activities. The party's National Executive Council, NEC, said the decision, which takes immediate effect, followed the recommendations of a disciplinary committee set up last Friday, May 2nd, 2025. On Friday, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan warned that creating a one-party state in Nigeria through political manipulation will lead to crisis. Speaking at a memorial lecture in Abuja in honor of the late Ijaw leader Edwin Clark, he said such a system must be deliberate and not achieved through defections or backdoor tactics. To wrap this week's top headlines, Robert Prevost has been elected as the new Pope, taking the new Pope Leo XIV following 2 days of voting at the Sistine Chapel. White smoke billowed from the chapel just after 5 p.m. UK time, signaling the historic decision to the world. His appointment marks a new chapter for the Catholic Church as he becomes the 267th Pope and successor to St. Peter. And that's a wrap for this week's top headlines. See you next week.
This week's online storm sparked youth-led protest, stirred national concern over academic decline, and fueled fresh political jabs at opposition figures. Stick around as we unpack the biggest trending stories and commentaries. #FreeVDM trended at the beginning of the week after activist and influencer Martin Ose, aka Very Dark Man, was arrested in Abuja. Youth took to the streets demanding his release, saying he's not a criminal but a voice for the people. He was later released on bail after days in detention. Davido on X says, outside all the noise, it's good to see that the good one does actually impact lives. The people actually appreciate. The support I'm seeing for VDM everywhere is encouraging. Makes one want to do more for the masses. Free my guy. DJ Neptune says, please, free the man. We have better issues at hand as a country to solve. Chase the bad eggs looting the resources meant to better the life of every Nigerian. We deserve better. Retrace your priorities if y'all really mean well for Nigeria. Dr. Farouz says, you don't necessarily have to like Very Dark Man, but the truth remains that he has helped many people in Nigeria and often speaks up for the voiceless. #FreeVDM. JAMB is trending after the board revealed that over 75% of 2025 UTME candidates scored below 200 out of 400. Only 0.5 scored above 300, sparking widespread concern over declining academic performance. Poja on X says, 1.9 million wrote JAM, 1.5 million scored below 200. We are sitting on a time bomb. Leo da Silva says, the fact that a country of over 200 million people have just 1.9 million candidates for JAM is worrying. We are entering new levels of illiteracy and degeneracy. Abolaji Razak says the JAM mass failure is Nigerians' failure, and it's an indication of the general failure. The government failed at not making the students not to fail. Leia says the JAM results aren't just about academics, they reflect deeper systemic issues, outdated curriculum, uninspired learners, underpaid teachers, societal pressure and neglect. The consequences will catch up with us all. Akpabio is trending after telling Peter Obi to fix Labour Party's internal crisis before aspiring to lead Nigeria. The Senate President questioned Obi's leadership credibility during a Senate valedictory section in Abuja.
Somebody makes a statement that the labors of heroes past are in vain. I beg to disagree. Let our brother Peter Obi show leadership like Edwin Clark did by resolving first the crisis in the Labour Party. For a man who wants to run Nigeria, you have one of the smallest parties in Nigeria, and you cannot even resolve the crisis in that Labour Party. Is it the crisis of Boko Haram that you will come and resolve in Nigeria?
Vivian Omokoro on X says, I love how Peter Obi is giving you all sleepless nights. Last week it was Sanwo-Olu, this week is Akpabio. I wonder who will be next, probably in a few days. You all stole his mandate and murdered sleep. You shall sleep no more. The Otumba GCFRN1 says, God bless Akpabio. See facts. Omo, at the moment, Peter Gode regrets for not doing much in Anambra State. See bragging rights from Akpabio. Idon says, Sanwo-Olu hates him. Soludo can't stop throwing shots. Akpabio takes jabs. Bayanono got frauds. PDP and APC chieftains panic. Even Showore, the SUG president, won't shut up about him. All against one man, Peter Obi. Dear Nigerians, open your eyes. They don't gang up like this against thieves. They gang up against hope. They fear him because he is not one of them and he is your key to a new Nigeria. Jobril A. Gawat says, Senate President Akpabio rolling out his achievements without stress, naming his legacy project in his state while he was governor without sending anybody on an ultimate search. That's a wrap. Stay tuned for next week's trending stories. Bye for now.
In this edition of the Mike On Podcast.
As conversations for national growth and development gain traction, Mike On Podcast remains a key driver of the discourse. One name that has generated internet buzz lately is Miss Toyosi Akerele-Ogunsiji. She is the director of Makemation, an owl-driven movie that is currently making waves in Nigeria and beyond. As a passionate canvasser for innovative and transformative political reforms, she sits with Seun Okinbaloye in this edition of the Mike On Podcast to talk on political leadership, 2. Women and sexual harassment, 3. The role of technology in driving political change, and a lot more. Join the conversation today.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Makemation podcast. I am Seun Okinbaloye. On this episode, we have an extraordinary guest, Miss Toyosi Akerele-Ogunsiji, the visionary producer and creator of Nigeria's first ever AI-driven movie, Makemation. Toyosi is not just a filmmaker, she's a trailblazer whose multifaceted career spans political activism, humanitarian efforts, and education. With a background rooted in advocacy for youth empowerment and social justice, she's always been vocal about Nigeria's potential and its challenges. She once said, quote, "Our future depends on how we leverage technology to tell our stories and build a nation that doesn't just dream, but innovates." End of quote. Our journey from grassroots activism to pioneering Nigeria's place in the AI cinematic space is nothing short of inspiring. Toyosi education at top institutions coupled with our relentless humanitarian work has always reflected our deep commitment to Nigeria's progress. I have joining me Ms. Toyosi Akerele-Ogunsiji on the Makemation podcast. Thanks so much indeed for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Seun.
I imagine if anybody told me that by now you wouldn't be Lagos governor, I would have said it's a lie. Because I thought that some 10 years back that you're probably going to be the first female governor of Lagos.
It's still not impossible.
So why are you not working on it?
A few things are, taking priority in my heart at this time, but it's definitely something to think about.
Do you
Not
think,
just even for Lagos, but for the country.
oh, you want to be the president?
It is possible.
Do you ever dream of becoming the president?
But possibilities are not the joys. Possibilities do not just exist in the hearts of dreamers. They exist within the context of the hearts of builders. People who have a solid trajectory of, building, of not just talking, of doing, who have a track record of excellence, people who have a sense of accountability, a level of devotion to their people, and people who understand that at the end of the day, our legacies on generations and the impact that we make on the lives of people are not, are superior over and above everything, and superior even be, above what our personal aspirations are. So it's not so much about my dream. It's about what Nigeria needs at every point in time. And that's why, while I don't feel like politics is the only way that one can make a difference, which is the reason why I'm currently doing what I do at the moment, I definitely know that the role of, political leaders and policymakers in the country, the roles of policymakers and political leaders are extremely pivotal, to the overall prosperity of our people and our country.
Which one do you perhaps think that it could be the nearer one, Madam President or Madam Governor?
Quite honestly, the skill sets, the challenges, the unique ingredients and the requirements for both offices differ. And I personally believe you can make a difference from anywhere. Quite honestly, I'm not someone who's, driven by being in a position to make a difference. I feel like I've enjoyed the privileges. I've enjoyed multiple privileges and positions that have given me room to make impact on the lives of people without necessarily occupying any, formal political office in the country. But I'm very comfortable with being even local government chairman because I know at the end of the day, it's not about the position, it's about the passion. It's not about, the political career. It's about your ability to exhibit that sense of commitment, show your people that you possess the charisma, the competence, the capacity, and the character to lead them in a way that delivers them, delivers the future into their hands and those of their children. So quite honestly, whether it's governor, presidency, or whatever, if I ever get the chance to even be a local government councillor, I would absolutely appreciate it because it's a privilege that your people are going to.
But that's you being humble right now. I mean, I've heard you speak a lot of the times about the need for us to get leadership right. And you have also spoken in different fora to say we need to take advantage as young people. Interestingly, you are graduating to not become a young person. You've spoken for so many years for the young people. But you're a mother. You've grown terribly that you can't call yourself absolutely a youth any longer, because by the United Nations definition, you have graduated above that limit. But the question here is that, do you still have your heart? If you are called to become a governor of Lagos State, would you take it today?
I think it's going to happen as a result of the balance of my personal aspirations and the yearnings and the...
Don't use intelligence to answer my question right now, because I know you are terribly intelligent. But if you are asked today to become Lagos governor,
who?
By the powers that be.
I would rather, aspire to fulfill, the dreams of...
There's usually a collegiate... No. There's usually a collegiate selection before the popular election. So that always happens. But when the powers that be say, we want to have a female governor in Lagos, and Toyosi, the lot is on you. Would you take it right now?
I'm more than fit to do so. When we get to that river, we will cross it.
You think you'll be a very good governor of Lagos State?
I do not think that. I wouldn't be the judge of my performance in any office.
But you know your capacity, don't you?
I think that I would...
Harvard trained.
That's not a qualification. It's not a requirement.
But you're experienced. You've been in the development sector. You've advised on policy and governor. Toyosi, would you love to be governor of Lagos today?
We've seen people with incredible track record fail us constantly in this country. It's not so much about my academic, prowess or my, career pathway. I think it's more about my character, my ability to understand people and function very efficiently within multiple ecosystems, depending on where I find myself. You said something very interesting about me starting very young and not being so young anymore. But see, my youthfulness is in my heart. And that's the reason why I'm the only one. Like I'm the one that's had the privilege of making this incredible film, casting more than 20 young actors in one film, taking a chance on the next generation of this country in the creative economy.
Can Lagos take a chance on you to become their next governor?
Look,
You're trying to be political to a political question.
Listen,
I've never seen you struggle answering any question, just as you have been. You've smiled many times, you've stuttered many times, and you've stumbled on your words in answering my question. It's a very straightforward question. Toyosi, would you like to become Lagos governor? It's a straightforward question.
I'm not in a political state of mind at the moment. But if my people find me worthy, I'll absolutely step up to the plate. I don't think there's anything extraordinarily complicated about being governor of any state. I understand the strategic position of Lagos State within the country.
Yeah.
But I feel like, again, my ability to be able to straddle through working with multiple teams, my ability to be a great listener, to learn, my ability to be amenable to multiple situations, no matter how difficult and challenging they may be, my ability, my understanding of the public, the private, and the social sectors, my experiences, and even my failures, all come together, and would be useful for being an administrator in any context. And like I said, for me, it's not so much about aspiring into an elevated office. The opportunity to even serve our people and provide them running water, electricity, make life better for them, ensure that basic infrastructure is available, make sure that education is accessible to our children, give them the opportunity to access the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, the kinds of skills that guarantee the global competitiveness of our young people, the opportunity to ensure that as a leader, you institutionalize systems that don't favor, I don't favor people simply because of connections, but you choose them because of merits. The opportunity to be able to ensure that we elevate vocational skills to the level of, formal theoretical knowledge within school. The opportunity to simply walk on the streets and be able to touch the life of a young girl who you are not sure what her future holds, but you want to be part of a bright future. I think that's what leadership is.
I mean, you imagine that at some point even in America, there's been a back-to-back a struggle for an American woman to become American president. So the question would be, would they even give a woman a chance? Almighty Lagos, that kind of thing. Do you in your mind feel disappointed when you see that the role men play in our political space could as well be played by women, but women are not? There is a chauvinistic political space that will not just allow women to thrive. Do you feel sometimes disappointed in the political space?
I mean, first, I'd like to say that I don't think it's enough, to be a woman to become a female leader in any context, in any community, organization, country. I think it takes grit. I think it takes character. I think women should be given a level playing field like men, but I also think that it's not just any woman that should be. We've seen women fail in policy and politics as much as men have failed. But I like to advocate for the women that society can raise the moral standards for women higher than those of the men, because typically society is harsher on women when they don't, deliver based on the people's expectations than, it is harsher on the men. But I feel that the day that women wake up and understand the power that we have as women is the day we're going to experience a paradigm shift in this country. I don't think that women understand our convening power, the influence we have at home. And I'd like to encourage more women to go and read a book called Madam President, which was written by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf after she became president of the U.S., of Liberia. I think women have to be more strategic. I think women have to understand that we need male allies for us to even win or even be considered. I think we need to build the capacity of more women. I think the best of women are not stepping up to the plate when it comes to politics. Again, because, it appears that the political climate and the political environment is not very friendly towards the women. So, for example, if you fix a political meeting at 1 a.m. in the middle of the night, like we see a lot of very nocturnal political meetings, these women are going to say, look, I'm married, I have children, do I want to be out at night? But those are the critical moments when key decisions are being made. We're not even seeing enough socialization amongst women. There are clubs in this country where you can't enter into the place if you don't come with a man, meaning that my eligibility to access that place is dependent on my male, counterpart. What if the women aren't married, right? There are also situations where women are given Ankaras to wear ankles and dance, for the men. And I understand the reason why you'd see a lot of women who just decide, I'm going to stay in private sector. I'm just going to build my career and I don't want to do politics because it doesn't appear that they want the best of us to be there.
Interestingly, in the corporate sector, I think in Nigeria today we have more women bank MDs.
It's not even bank MDs. It's even line management.
Yeah.
Even middle level management.
But when it comes to political positions, women don't fit. They don't have the brains for it. That's what it does look like the political environment is telling us.
I feel like there's some type of unwritten hostility that women face in the political space that sort of make you feel like women aren't wanted here, they aren't needed here. I think one of the things that I've learned that makes me very proud to be female in these times is the fact that you'd see a lot of systems, communities that are constantly being transformed by women. Women are constantly trailblazing across various sectors. And it's because, you see, when a woman is determined to do something, she'll get it done well. And I think it's also because this generation, we're a little more resilient, we're a little more outspoken, we're a little more pushful and bullish in terms of our understanding of what we want and how we want to access it.
When you heard about the Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan sexual harassment saga, what came to your mind?
Here's another one. I mean, it's not the first, and I definitely don't know if it's going to be the last. To be frank, because I've been very busy with, my filmmaking in AI work, I've not really paid a lot of attention to the political environment of Nigeria for some time. But beyond even working on the film, I just got tired. I just got exhausted with all of the shenanigans in the political space. And I don't want to feel like I'm losing hope, but some of us, started our careers fighting for this country.
You are one of those who said that we need to get out these old folks and let the young people come into the space.
Well, I'm getting increasingly disappointed in even the conduct of the young people. We've seen young people get opportunity to be in positions of authority and forgot the fact that there's a movement. There were a few people that had expectations of me and gave me the opportunity and privilege and pushed me to be where I am today.
So young people have failed sometimes.
I am seeing a couple of them, not all of them, but I'm seeing, as much as we have the bad eggs, we also have the good ones. But I wouldn't say that 15 years later, when I started out as a very bright-eyed, wild-hearted youth advocate in this country, I wouldn't say that I'm happy with the outcome of what Nigeria has become several years later. Those days, we were so optimistic that our efforts will yield certain results. We were confident that, we could engage with the government, we could engage with critical stakeholders on the policy and the political side. I'm just my heart is really very weary, and I don't want to lose hope. But I want to try and do other things that I feel like, if this way is not, if it's going to take so long, let me try to do other things and try to raise a new generation of young people, empower them with the skills that they need to ensure that their mindset are transformed and they don't go this way. Because if you give a critical mass of young people opportunity, I like to say that, for example, Boko Haram is not a security problem. It's an economic problem. You can never give young people education and economic empowerment, and they will choose terrorism as a more viable alternative. A young person who has a job and can access 3 meals a day, live a normal life, can't decide that they want to go and sleep in the bush and be shooting guns. They deserve good things too. But
let me ask you this frank question, because if you are not a woman, you don't know how it feels. Do women really face those kind of sexual related?
Absolutely.
To get to the top, how difficult it is
you will be
as a woman.
invalidating the experiences of women. Several of them that I know. You'll be completely trivializing the kinds of unfortunate things that happen to women, not just within the political environment.
But it's worse in politics.
I've never been in politics. I wouldn't know. Just by my positioning and personality, I rarely am accosted in such very controversial circumstances. I think that I think I'm principled and stern enough to want to, for any man who's in his right senses, to know that I'm not a candidate for such. But there are also very many women who, not by their own making, just find themselves in such situations. And the question I've always constantly asked myself is, would you continue to persist in such a space for the greater good of your people? Or should you just walk away from such very terrible, debilitating, dehumanizing circumstances, right? I don't know what will happen if it happens to me, but I know that nobody's going to go.
Nobody has sexually harassed you or sexually...
there would be a few small-minded men.
I've tried.
Will attempt it. But you need your ability to put them in their place.
You've not really had a bad experience.
And let them know that it's non-negotiable. There's absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Even your demeanor
there
tells
is nothing that I want.
You're no nonsense person.
There is nothing that I want, Seun, that would allow me. It's unthinkable in every ramification that I would subject myself to, it stinks, the very thought of it. When I was single, now that I'm married, You dare not. It's not. Who would you be? What would you have on offer? Again, a lot of women who give into these things and tell you they were under pressure is also because of their inability to walk away from certain things. Contentment is a very good thing. And contentment is power. Because it means you can wake up and walk away from anything.
So that's how to fight sexual advances for power, for money.
That's why I said...
That's how you have been able to escape it.
For me, there's absolutely nothing at all that is worth it. There's nothing at all that is worth it.
But I mean...
Not position, not financial, not personal aggrandizement,
Toyosi,
not financial
you're speaking to millions of young Nigerian ladies right now who consistently, in the banking sector, in the telecommunications, in the media, in every sector of our life, who consistently are faced with these sexual-oriented advances for them to get to the top or get whatever they needed to get by in life. Is there an antidote to ensuring that they stay afloat so that they are not subjected to such ridicule?
I think it's a function of society. I think that's where the importance of institutions. I like to say that countries that are run based on institutions are definitely more successful than countries that are run based on the whims and caprices of individuals. The way to treat, my people say we're nothing way. The way to treat people that are addicted to sexually harassing other people is to ensure a system of consequences. If you try to take advantage of people and you are visibly, and people see that you are punished for it, you won't try it next time. That lady you are trying to sexually harass is not the only other female around, and your head should be correct enough to know when to stop. When people, again, you also need to think about issues of consent, issues of the carrot and stick, issues of I'm offering this to someone, and if she rejects me, you in a higher position has the power to diminish that woman, to deprive her of the opportunities she deserves, like promotions, like, whatever other privileges she deserves. But quite honestly, I feel like we need more resilient women. We need more resilient women that have capacity, people that have stoicism. I don't think that if I quit any job because I was sexually harassed, I wouldn't get by. But I wouldn't just quit that job. I will make sure on my honor that that fellow, that gentleman, is used as a classic example of Maube.
Yeah.
Never do it again.
Let me, before I move into another topic, and there are a lot of, in that conversation, people say, for example, as a married person, if you're sexually harassed by a known person to your spouse, would you tell your spouse immediately?
Of course. Well, in
the very instant.
In my own situation, my husband is my best guy. Is my guy. He's
so nothing happens to you or nothing you go through without his knowledge.
Of course.
You tell him just about
Why
anything.
wouldn't I tell?
So there is no...
I need to tell just because I want to feel validated or protected, but because I want to be accountable. The moment that I share with my husband, it means that he would also watch me very closely and how I relate with that person.
If you fail to tell in the moment, what does it translate to?
I think it differs from individual. I think it differs from individual to individual. I don't know what other
the best approach is
look like.
Tell immediately, just for accountability's sake.
It depends on what immediately looks like. If I went straight into a meeting after that scenario, after that situation, and I couldn't tell immediately, it still doesn't mean that I wouldn't tell. But like I said, in my own situation, my husband is my friend. My husband is my friend. I want to be more than the fact that I want to feel validated. Like first, I wouldn't do it, but it's just to say that this fellow is being an idiot. And forgive my French, that is exactly how to describe such people, because I don't know why you would see another woman's husband, another man's wife, and have desire for. I'm not a man, so I don't know how it feels, but I still can. I think it still qualifies. It's okay to qualify it as an animalistic tendency. It cannot be a normal. It can't happen to normal people. There has to be some level of emotional restraint as an individual that is given to logic that if you have a desire for someone and the person says no, no means no. To even complicate it, if the person is given to another person as their own spouse, you have to be absolutely insane to insist that that person must have an affair with you.
As a former youth, that's how I refer to you.
As a Gen Z millennial,
So the question I'd like to ask you, and I've heard you, and I've had to interview you a few times, so I know how your mind worked, but I don't know how it works now.
Hey.
Because your mind is now powered by AI, so I don't know how it works now.
Powered by Gen Z vibes, actually.
So the question I'd like to ask you, you were very, very, very strong in your opinion and your view about the future of Nigeria. You believe that Nigeria, the plagues of the young people, you believe that this is the greatest nation, leadership is our problem. Do you still feel that same energy right now? Have you lost it?
My opinions haven't changed. Nigeria is a great country, check. We need a leadership fix, check. The potential of this country, in fact, from a couple of years back, the potential that I see Nigeria demonstrate through its young people in terms of being a global superpower is non-negotiable. We're a great country. Beyond even potential, we're a country of possibilities. If I still have the same energy and faith that things are going to change anytime soon, I'm not sure. There are a set of things that happen in a country that either inspire hope in you as a people or as an individual, and other things that happen that make you feel like, this country don't cast. The way young people say it, right? But I don't know if I feel that same energy, because if I just look around me and I see the kinds of things that are happening, I'm like, the world is already like way past all these things, and we are here.
It looks hopeless.
Majoring in the minors, actually.
So our situation looks bleak right in the moment. We need some kind of rejuvenation. Is that what it feels like?
Seun, we need a recalibration.
Can one person get that done for us?
It's going to be a critical mass of people, because even a president alone is not able to fix the mess that Nigeria.
Where would we get that from? Is it in the generation of our own father or our own generation?
I think there's still very good people in this country, and I think there's still people in office who mean well for the country. But I think that they are also bogged down by they're bogged down by a lot of existential, circumstances and challenges that, they're also beholden to stakeholders, beholden to systems. People mean well, but good ideas and great, thoughts have never been known to transform nations. You need a concrete set of actions. You need political will. You need good policies. You need a critical mass of leaders who mean well for the country and are willing to do whatever it takes to ensure. For me, the reason why there's not so much hope in my heart is, how do you want a politician to feel the pulse of his people and fix education when all his children go to school abroad? How do you want... When you see a man who buys a Bentley or a Rolls Royce on a street with potholes, it gives you a sense of the fact that these people, sense is far from a number of them. You live on a street where there are potholes. It's immotorable, and you bought a Rolls Royce to drive on that road.
Let me take you to perhaps a major part of our conversation, and going back to what you said in the past quote. Our future depends on how we leverage technology to tell our stories and build a nation that does not just dream but innovates.
Correct.
Rise Networks, which you lead, you've in the last 3, 4, 5 years, you've gone into AI technology-driven activities, and now you dare to want to produce an AI movie. What came upon you?
Well, of all the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence has the most transformative potential. I worry about AI in the hands of wrong people. I'm concerned about how AI can help us leapfrog as a nation. And I don't want Nigeria to be second fiddle or play catch up within the global AI space, the global technology agenda. And for me, in my own personal opinion, the fastest way to democratize the knowledge and access, the knowledge of and the access to anything, is to deliver it using familiar channels of interaction. If you think about young people today in this country, the things they pay attention to the most are music, pop culture, film, like they are constantly with their headphones, they're on TikTok, they're on Snapchat, they're on Instagram and all that. And so for me, my point was, how do you, democratize AI knowledge at scale? Bring the awareness of AI to young people, their parents, their families, not just AI now, but other technologies of other emerging technologies. And I couldn't think of a better way than to put it in a film. Make it a solid cinematic piece with high quality production and entertainment value, very, very, solid didactic content, incredible technical excellence in terms of sound, picture quality, locations, and even the props and the set elements. I mean, when Makemation has been described constantly as Africa's first, feature film on artificial intelligence, it's not a farce. It's not an aspiration. It's not a dream. It's actually a statement of fact. And I mean, it's just an opportunity to give a shout out to all the young people, the 20s and the 30s, young people who collaborated with me to make this, phenomenal film that is now being celebrated around the world.
There's those who will say, what in this world? In Africa, not only in Africa, in Nigeria, it's bold, isn't it, to make Africa's first feature film on AI. Did you ever worry about people who might not get it? Or did you always believe our stories could carry such complex, futuristic themes?
I think Makemation is a beautiful film in terms of the fact that it's the first time we're seeing a convergence of human creativity, human capability, come together very nicely with, a major technology like AI. So Makemation is a combination of live action and, artificial intelligence and a lot of not just AI now, but generative AI. For example, a number of the robots you're going to see on the film are, like AI generated. They were made with Google LLMs, including the opening montage of the film itself. A lot of part of the music and this, music composing, aspect of the technical side of things was done with AI. I don't think that there's anybody who's going to watch Makemation and not understand it. And I say this because we're in the second week in cinema. And quite honestly, the reviews, I knew that we had a good film. I knew that Makemation was a solid material, solid contribution from Nigeria and Africa to the world. But I didn't know that the level of acceptance and the high praise and the hype would be this much. Like, people are literally taking teams of people and wanting to show their children. People are feeling a sense of pride and dignity, like this was actually made in Nigeria. And someone could conceptualize a film on artificial intelligence, a subject matter that complex, and deliver it in a very simplistic, enjoyable format, such that even children, 10-year-olds are watching it and saying, it taught me never to give up on my dreams. It taught me that technology can change the way, we should take our STEM education more seriously. And for me, it's just a way to preach to government that STEM education has to become mandatory in our education curriculum. It's the way that we're going to teach our children to think about building planes, building warships, building cars. We cannot face today's challenges with yesterday's knowledge. And when you think about the fact that the children in other parts of the world are being taught to not just dream, but build, are being taught to not just, do, but exceed expectations, you'll understand the reason why Makemation is not just another film. So, it's a defining moment in the African cinematic space.
This for me is always very, very interesting. You see what this young generation, what they use technology for.
to do.
And a lot of the time they use it for vices. And guess what? I understand that the CBEX system is being, I've got some information to say that from countries in Asia, they were being controlled and using Nigeria as a very green land to be able to get
as a guinea pig.
Yeah, and get a lot of money from Nigeria. And you also see how the gullibility of a generation. I've had stories of people who have lost a lot of money. And the fact that the young generation do not see technology positively. They see it as a means to, to maneuver the system. Do you have fear that we might even be smarter than the makers of these technologies or the those who develop these technologies? Because are people really thinking of using this technology for the right purposes? That's a big question.
I mean, Seun, you travel a lot. One of the reasons why I'm an incredibly proud Nigerian, like, nothing is wrong with my shoulders. It's just the fact that I'm a full-blooded Nigerian, and I'm extremely proud of it.
Oh, may go like that.
You know, that kind of thing. Everywhere I've been around the world, all the 6 continents, we're the brightest and the best people. See, the thing that's cramping our style and dulling our shine is the fact that our leaders don't even understand the full potential, the length and breadth of the potential of this country. If our leaders could sit in tech labs and co-create with young people in this country, we'll be a global superpower in 5 years. It's not rocket science. Do I have fears? Do I feel petrified by the fact that young people would use technology for social vices? It's been there before we were born. It's going to persist. But to what extent is how much we're committed to opening the minds of young people to how they can use technology for social good. So, for example, young people, the same country where you have a lot of young people doing Yahoo, is the same country where you have 8 out of the 10 unicorns out of Africa. It's the same country where people are building startups every day and attracting extremely high, venture capital funding and venture capital confidence from around the world. Nigeria cannot be defined within the context of only our vices. When you make reference to some of our pitfalls as a nation, do not also forget that some of the sharpest minds out of this continent and around the world are Nigerians in all of the 6 continents of the earth. And you see, when you talk about young people using, social media and technology for vices, I think it's a function of what our young people consume. When you turn on the television, look at the average young boy, the average Gen Z young boy around you. He's trying to be like Davido. He wants to be like Poco Lee, right? He's trying to be like their pop stars, like Wizkid, like Burna Boy, like Kiss Daniel. They are the heroes, right? They are heroes. Now my question is, imagine if those people were then courted and shown as beacons.
Yeah.
And these people are now, you now use that same pop culture and entertainment to show young people what they can do with technology. Because you see, do as I do is more powerful, and do as I do is more compelling for young people than do as I say. More than that, audiovisual is extremely compelling on the human mind.
Yeah.
So Makemation, I didn't have to make a film. I could have said, let's do a big conference and do some social orientation and social conditioning and all that. But film, music, sound are extremely powerful. Young people are going to, people were coming out of the cinema rooms and parents were saying, I need to have a sit down, have a career discussion with my children. Children are like, I've been trying to do this course now. I need to pursue it. Now I know that as a girl child, I am equal. I am enough.
That's why I was going to ask you. You said that you make this movie for people in their 20s and 30s.
They made the film. I said that it's a shout out to my cast and crew because all of them they're young people.
But you didn't focus too much of 20s and 30s.
The target audience of the film is all the way from about 5.
Okay, so because there are those who believe that, look, do 20 and 30, they are formed, they are made in their way.
The children,
already.
The children.
The focus probably.
In fact, tomorrow you have a school that owns both primary and secondary taking 148 of their children to go and see the film, because the biggest fans of Makemation have been children, teenagers, and young adults. They have been the biggest fan base of Makemation, and it's really because the film is fun. They see themselves. The story is very relatable for them, even in the costume, the language, the nuances, the behavioral patterns. You cannot, it explains the reason why I gave ownership to our cast and crew to make this film. My director is only 29. The production manager for this film is 25. One of the young boys who worked on this film, the VFX side, was about 19. Right? These are young people that typically may not have been given a big ticket production of this nature. But I built my entire career off the back of youth.
How much did you spend on this movie?
A significant amount of money.
Like $1 billion.
I'm still breathing and bleeding. Breathing and bleeding.
It spent you.
I don't think anything has tasked me my entire life
this much.
And also,
you've done so many things.
And also, equally, it made me feel as fulfilled. I sat in a cinema room 2 days ago in front of the big screen, watching a film that I made. Not just a film, but a niche, first of its kind type of production that got everything it deserved in terms of trying to piece together a quality material. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm definitely not surprised at the kind of, like I said, the high praise that the film is getting from people from everywhere. Like companies who just want to take their staff to say, you need to see this. We've been trying to sell this idea of digital transformation to you as a company. This is your time to watch it. Schools, children, policymakers, international foundations, development finance institutions. We have an offer to do a US premiere, a UK premiere from people who want to collaborate with us and cover the cost for it, because it's an idea whose time has come. AI is going to change a lot of things.
Look at the crystal ball. Prophesying to the Nigerian future. What do you see AI as far as the Nigerian future is, the young people of this country is concerned?
It's going to, artificial intelligence is definitely a harbinger of hope. There's so much more that we can do with it. What I'd just like us to do is fix, sufficient guardrails and ensure that we continue to uphold the conversation around AI governance, AI safety, ethical and responsible use of AI. Because AI in the hands of wrong people will become extremely detrimental to us as a nation, especially for a country like Nigeria where, AI is still very nascent. But this is where our ability to collaborate with people from different parts of the world, our ability to co-create, our ability to constantly learn and evolve as a people. And that's exactly why Makemation was made. Because AI is so disruptive in nature, as you may have observed yourself, that if we don't allow young people to understand it, know how to relate with it, know how to use it, know how to interrogate it, it may eventually snowball into a monster. And I don't think it's going to be a combination, it's going to be the function of AI alone that will make Nigeria's future bright. I think we cannot AI ourselves out of simple things like running water, lack of electricity, poor educational facilities, religious, divides and, national security challenges and all that. But I definitely feel like, STEM education is the foundation of AI. And this is my advocacy that the federal government of this country needs to make STEM education compulsory, whether you are doing microbiology or you are studying English or you are doing law or you are doing accounting. Science, technology, engineering, and math will open the minds of our young people and allow them to think in science, to allow them to think as problem solvers, not just as people that need to get degrees and get jobs, but people that can actually respond to our everyday problems in agriculture, in transportation. You are going to see real life projects in this film where people are, young students in the Makemation Institute inside the film are using Arduinos and potentiometers to build microchips that can check, that can diagnose, micro diseases within few seconds. You would see, AI, using predictive analytics to predict traffic congestion and manage, to predict, traffic challenges and manage traffic congestion. You would see AI being used efficiently in, checking breast cancer and all of that. We must leave young people curious We must build a generation of young people that are curious, that are complex problem solvers, and have the opportunity of being in an enabling environment where they can truly make a difference. We cannot. What elevated America and China is science and technology. China doesn't want to be on the list of countries with top 10 best universities in the world. But everything in the world these days is made in China, just because of the strategic investment of the government in, the digital and vocational skills of their young people. While we are here talking about ChatGPT, other countries are giving young people the opportunity to go to space. We are constant consumers of technology. We're not producing technology. We're not contributing much to the global technology agenda. And that's how we're going to be left behind.
I don't know if you've seen various videos about me, typically deep fakes. They carry and lip sync and create AI advertisement for products. I don't know anything about it. And I'm very sure that you've seen what the American President Donald Trump, AI generated a picture of him as a new pope. And these are the dual potentials of AI, the capacity to be able to create models and things that are not as real as one would expect. So there are deep fakes, issues of misinformation, algorithm biases, and how they have been used to manipulate elections, manipulate policies, manipulate governance, or also get into the heads of unassuming public. And so this growing concern is really detrimental to our politics, our governance, and our society. And there are specific steps that you believe this government should take to mitigate this risk that and ensure that AI benefits and not bring down our society.
I think first it's in our policy. We need a comprehensive national AI policy. I know that the Federal Ministry of Innovation, Communications and Digital Economy are definitely working on a couple of solutions in that regard. But we definitely need a strategic, comprehensive national AI policy that guides, and provides some type of guidance for how AI is used within the context of Nigeria. The second point is the conversation around big tech accountability, and the importance of, engaging with the big tech corporate, organizations on the importance of data privacy, on the importance of data governance, on the importance of, data policy, and on the importance of ensuring, that the country needs to maintain its, data sovereignty. It is a non-negotiable, subject matter, and it's a conversation that needs to be, that needs to happen in such a way that we do not throw away, foreign direct investment on one hand, and we also do not compromise the country's citizens' data privacy and data privacy and data usage of and the use of our people's personal data.
Are human jobs at risk?
I think that's a subject that I like to address very often. I like to say that it is not AI that will take your job as a human being. It is the person that knows AI that will take your job. There is absolutely no way that artificial intelligence can replace the emotional intelligence, critical thinking, and creative ability of a human being. I've done a keynote at the Global AI Summit in Saudi Arabia that was titled "How to Maintain Human Self-Confidence When Machines Appear to Be Better." The truth is that even robots themselves depend on human capability to efficiently and effectively function. I think that rather than individuals worrying so much about how AI will take their jobs, I think it's important to build capacity in understanding, basic use of AI in a way that makes you relevant and a little
more
above
effective,
board.
faster.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then it's also important that individuals do, especially journalists, do not outsource their critical thinking to artificial intelligence.
That's going to be dangerous.
Because you see a lot of articles online today, and you can almost feel like this is such a robotic material. There's no way a human being wrote this article, because if a journalist sat down to write, you can feel the emotional connection and the human angle in that material. So I don't think AI will take our jobs. I think AI will automate tasks. It will make things a lot more efficient and better. But as AI evolves, human capability would also evolve. And the people that are constantly reinventing themselves to understand the varying ramifications of AI. I mean, there are so many areas that AI can't even control. AI ethics, AI engineering, data modeling, data labeling. These are things that human beings need to do that AI can't do for us. And I think we need to focus our energies more on how do we train our people to respond to the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence.
So one thing that people might worry about in governance politics in Nigeria is our elections. Mm-hmm. Our elections, as a lot of the time, have been short of being anything. It's too far away from reality. Mm-hmm. Can AI help us?
In many ways.
For our elections?
In many ways, but we also know that the politicians always know how to find their way around it. The way that the only time Nigerian politicians respond very fast to anything is when it affects them. When it affects them. If they don't feel that this thing, you're talking about children that you're talking about primary schools that there are no chairs, it doesn't affect them. Let something touch their politics and see how they're going to leave everything and resume in the hallowed chambers very quickly to address it. We need this country, for Nigeria to thrive, we need statesmen, not politicians. Statesmen in the political arena who understand the balance of power and the need to respond to the needs, yearnings, and aspirations of our people. It is extremely crucial that we don't allow brigands, criminals, and men of questionable character to get into our politics. Mm. But you yourself talked about, the collegiate, selection process that allows only a few people to get very close to, the points where you now have to choose out of what is available. So you know what they say about when the desirable is not available? The available becomes the desirable.
So we should have hope. AI can help us with our elections.
Absolutely, in many ways. And we definitely are working around a number of things. We're definitely working around. We attempted building a mobile app in 2023 elections that could help us, fact check, fake news and all of that. It's something that we're definitely working to scale now. And ensuring that, but beyond even fake news, we need accuracy in the electoral process. We need an electoral process that is so I don't want to call it fireproof. I'm trying to find the right word now. That is so difficult to tamper with because of how efficient the technology has been built. Mm. Again, some of these technologies would only survive if they are built outside this country. Because if you also build them in this country and they are subject to the approvals and the regulations of certain institutions that are going to be accountable to the same people in government that you are trying to check, it's almost going to be an effort in futility.
If you hear the narratives about how Russia influenced the American election, and you saw what happened in 2015 about Cambridge Analytica.
Correct.
Do you fear for the next election, 2027, about the possibility of a negative use of AI in our elections and our politics?
I mean, fear is one thing. Fear would only keep you in a spot. I'm not one that's given to fear. When I see problems, I try to address them. I've always known to be a problem. I'm known to respond to situations from a solution perspective. So I'm not afraid of the 2027 elections and how AI can deliver negative outcomes. Rather, I'm trying to, as a PhD fellow, writing a thesis on the implications of the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution and Nigeria's national and economic security. I think that my responsibility as not just a scholar but a practitioner within the AI space is to constantly amplify AI for social good and explore ways through which the good can outweigh the bad. I don't think that there will come a time anywhere in the world, not just in the Nigerian elections, where people are not going to attempt to use, technology in a negative way to further their own, nests and advance their own interests. There are even going to be, AI experts that are going to be enlisted and employed and engaged and paid by powers that be within the political arena, to advance their own interests. But I think the more good is done, the more the good will continue to consume the bad.
Now, on a final note, Makemation is out now. What is on the horizon? A series, a sequel, or you're exploring an entirely new creative direction? Because I know the kind of person you are. When Toyosi is on a roll, she's on a roll.
I think I had toyed with the idea of a series, when I saw the direction the film was going. But even now, seeing the film out in cinemas, and I'm reading reviews that are, completely unbelievable, mind-blowing in terms of how excited people are about, Makemation, and how people felt like, a lot of people went to watch it out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, Nigeria is trying to do an AI film. We can't even fix power. We don't even have, we don't have lights.
That kind of thing.
People went to watch it with so much skepticism, like, let's even see. And
some even argue that that's not the first AI-driven movie. Have you seen that critic?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, we didn't bother responding because I'm a lawyer. We didn't bother responding because as a student of law, res ipsa loquitur, the facts speaks for themselves.
Yeah.
If you have an alternative, produce it. A film whose plots and themes are all focused on artificial intelligence, a film that leveraged solid generative AI, a film that showed how AI projects could be built from 0 to 100, from idea to prototype to product to scalability, qualifies in every ramification as an AI-themed film. If there is another one on this continent, I'm happy to see them. It's not an AI-generated film. Yeah. Because, again, it is important to ensure that we constantly show people that the most superior intelligence is human intelligence. And that sitting in a room for a couple of hours and a few days to generate a 2-hour AI-generated film is totally different from starting principal photography of a film in June 2023 and completing principal photography in April 2024, spending at least, hundreds of thousands of hours in pre-production, production, and post-production, shooting from never-before-seen locations in this country, working with a cast and crew of more than 200 people, working with a crew of more than 200 people and a cast and crew running into almost 2,000 people, backed by some of the most respected institutions from around the world and this country, including a bank CEO, including one of the most celebrated founders in this country who's now become a venture capitalist, putting spotlight on some of the brightest young actors in this country. 11 of them debuted, 11 of them having Makemation as their first debut, in the cinemas, meaning that Makemation is their first film, in the cinemas, powering the dreams of children and young people. I don't think for us, I
even understand that a very prominent politician's son is in the movie too.
Very well.
Who's that?
Because it's not, we didn't cast him because he's a son of a prominent politician.
Who is that?
We casted him because
which of the characters?
He runs one of the most successful 3D modeling companies on this continent. And I did not know him as the son of a politician. I knew him because 12 years ago, I was a keynote speaker at their college where he was an A-level student. And I ran into him at one of the consulates of one of the diplomatic missions in the country, and I was making the film at that time. How do you not spotlight people because
which politician is
they
that?
are the same? He's not on the film as a politician's son. He's on the film as a builder.
Does he have a name?
Founder.
Does he have a name? Who is this?
Absolutely.
Who is this person?
That is why you need to go to the cinemas and watch Makemation. When you watch it, you would see the striking resemblance. And I think it's time for people to get, selected on the strength of their own merits. I don't think that if I became a politician in this country tomorrow, my children should be deprived of opportunities they deserve. He's on the film, and his father did not know anything about it until the film came out. Deliberately, because I did not want it to seem that we did that because we wanted some favor or whatever. He was never aware of it. He did not just...
So the boy appeared in the movie.
Yes, as one of the judges.
On merit, on his own strength.
He runs, fact check it yourself. He owns one of the most thriving 3D companies on this continent. How many of them do we have? Why should we not? Well, just the way we brought other tech trailblazers. Yeah. He's not the only person who is...
The likes of Inyi made an appearance.
Ifeolu Adrosimieti of Economy is on the film. Bisoye Fagade is on the film. Abubakar Suleiman, the CEO of Sterling Bank, is on the film. Victor Afolabi of Eco Innovation Center is on the film. Ikwo Uko, who's just been appointed an executive director at Presco, is on the film. Folashade Adefisayo, principal of Corona for many, many years, who later became commissioner for education in Lagos. Some of the brightest and the best people because you also can't tell the story of innovation without the actual trailblazers
and
the key actors.
There was the
future.
And you did a mixture of different words in Nollywood that never meets. Bringing Yoruba characters to Igbo characters to Kannywood characters.
Absolutely.
And you brought them into
because
you are. You are a crazy woman, isn't it? Crazy, when they say crazy people.
Yeah, you need a level of temperature to change the world. I like to call it temperature now. Yeah. It's okay to be crazy in an environment like what is it about Nigeria that won't drive you crazy? Everything. When you drive out now, there's going to be some bike man that's going to run into
We're already crazy car. Anyways.
You understand? You're going to get home and be wondering what is happening. But guess what? We must not stop hoping. Someone said to me, what do you think of making an AI film in a country that can't fix electricity? And my answer to the person on that day was, we cannot stop dreaming because of the debilitating challenges we currently face. Whilst we don't have electricity, this country is raising young people on the strength of their own merit, are going out of the people that are shaping the reputation of Nigeria abroad are young people of this country. They're not our politicians. and so I don't feel that I want to quickly respond to the issue around bringing actors from all over the country. For me, it was very, very, very necessary to use Makemation to speak to Nigeria's unity. A northern husband and an Igbo wife. And giving them and using it to address issues of the importance of giving girls education, the importance of using technology for social good, projecting Nigeria in positive light, showing that we cannot be defined and put into the box of Yahoo Yahoo. Using Makemation as a critical example of what Nigeria can contribute to Africa and the world if given the right resources and enabling environments, and fire in our hearts. It was, and for everybody, someone said even the balance of everybody from all walks of life was such an amazing ingredient that elevated the film into a blockbuster. And even the picture with the cinematography, completely out of this world. I Makemation will compete on any stage, and it's not my opinion. It's the opinion of the general public that you can go online and read.
When you were doing the humanitarian effort, you do it with so much passion, and you do it so much good.
And I still do.
When you're doing a movie project, you are doing it like this is the only thing you have ever done, and this is the only thing you will ever do.
Because at every
now
point,
the question is that your political project, when are you beginning?
Seun, politics. What is it with politics?
Yes, that's what I do.
If politics calls on me, I'm not going to run away from it.
All right.
I am absolutely qualified.
All right.
But I want to be able to maintain a humble state of mind.
A humble state.
In a way, a humble state. In a way that it is my people that will call on me.
Yeah.
Right? At this point in my life now, today, I don't know what tomorrow or the future holds.
Yeah.
But today, politics is not on my radar.
But you could be appointed as a minister.
I could be appointed as anything. Any
Would you
opportunity.
take it? Would you take it? If you were appointed by President Tinubu
if I'm
today.
empowered to deliver for my people, I'll do it. If the role is just going to be ceremonial for me to simply occupy a position where I'm powerless and I cannot deliver public good to my people, it's no point. There's nothing that politics is going to give me in my life today that I don't already have or can't access.
All right. Toyosi Akerele-Ogunsiji, this is almost a 2-hour conversation. I don't know.
I absolutely enjoyed it.
Thank you so much
And
indeed.
you put me on the spot so much. We're supposed to be discussing AI as storytelling and filmmaking.
We've been discussing AI for the last hour.
No, I'm in politics and my Gen Z
Baddies
my
and
Gen Z
Gen Z
fans.
goodies.
My Gen Z fans are going to be like, EP, you're supposed to be talking about, film and how great our film is.
I see that you wear sneakers with this thing these days. You wear sneakers on native and now is that what the movie is?
It's a combination
the movie
of Gen
totally
Z and
changed you.
Gen Z and tech vibes. Even my address is Makemation.
Yeah, I see it. So it's always a pleasure talking
Thank you very
talking
much,
to you.
Seun.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely
and I wish you
enjoyed
the very best. You are one of the best of our country.
So if when you can hold yourself accountable for pushing me into that politics.
Don't worry, I've been pushed so many times. No, but I've resisted the push. Politics. You've got to have the mind, ironclad mind, so that you can before you can go into it. But I know you're more resilient than me. I'm a feeble-minded man. I fear wahala.
Only the guilty are
you're a
afraid.
Lagos babe with your full chest. You don't fear anything.
We don't die. We multiply.
That's our conversation with Toyosi Akerele-Ogunsiji. If you leave both of us, we'll be on for 24 hours. Such an amazing human being. Thank you so much indeed for watching this edition of the Makemation podcast. I'm Seun Okinbaloye. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Mike On Podcast with Seun Okinbaloye. Mike On Podcast for the independent mind.